Hey guys, Dib the Awesome here to give you another Monster Legends guide where I talk about monsters' moves, rune sets, partners, all that jazz. Today we have stumbled upon General Alces for Wednesday of the special General Guide series. This is the third one on my entry. He's my third favorite general in the entire game. Uh, Based on a number of regions won, he's got a really cool design. Check out that bow. It's a really great bow. If you know, see what I did there. Great bow. It's a really great bow. Yes. It's yeah, it's a pretty cool bow. He's got a cool design overall. He really fits the nature, really the nature stuff. He screams nature. He screams like the main guy, like the main nature dude. He's got the elk horns. He's got the leaf beard. I think that's a beard, or that could be his chest. It could be his mouth too. I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea. uh, I have no idea. I think that's like his helmet. Yeah, it could be his beard. I'm assuming that's either his beard or his chest. Odds are it's his chest. I have no idea, dude. I have no idea. Odds are it's his chest. It's gotta be. I don't know. It could be his beard. It could be anything. But anyway, you did not come here just for me to just kind of talk about his appearance. You came here to know if he's good. Is this a good monster? What are his strengths? What are his weaknesses? I'm gonna tell you right now. So power, we got 3,300 power here. Not the highest power. It's okay because he's kind of more so a long-term fighter. He more so works in the sense of like long fight. He doesn't really need really high-end power because he's gonna beat you with longevity. He's gonna out-survive you. This guy is a survivalist. He's meant to stay out there and just wear you down in time. He has all the time in the world. All you need is the proper support, and he can wear pretty much anybody down. He's got the skills to do so. His life is 30,461. This is a pretty respectable life. I think it was one of the higher lives for nature monsters. It's a pretty respectable life. You can take quite a few hits. People actually even like people that have reached beyond the middle class and into the PvP arena competitive scene occasionally have also built him tanky, which is interesting. A lot of people from that area, in the PvP arena competitive scene. I'm not saying like as in the actual PvP arena. I'm talking about like people that play in that kind of style for team wars. I'm saying it's interesting because they actually do like somebody actually do build two lives and a speed on them. So have been told by quite a few people in that area, which is pretty interesting. Um, but that is apparent. That is apparent thing. That's pretty cool. I imagine just like maybe a life rune, like a life rune, or like a single life rune and two speed, if anything, from that area. But people apparently do build them bulky, which is interesting in that area, and it's pretty cool. So yeah, you can pretty much kind of do whatever with in terms of runes. Like he's a pretty solid, he's a pretty adaptable general. His speed is 3,432. This is a pretty respectable speed. He's got some respectable stats, just like General Uri. Pretty respectable stats all around. In all honesty, they're both long-term fighters, which is pretty awesome in my book. Though in terms of who lasts the longest, it's totally Elsa's because he has 100% heal, which we'll get to. He is weak to fire, obviously, so putting him against Darmouth isn't the best thing in the world. Though I think he is the best for that situation. Odds are he's probably the best to tank up fire damage compared to his other nature bros because he does have a full 100% heal. Is it on a 6-turn cooldown? Yes, but it can patch you up that one time, and odds are after you've used that the one time, they're probably near death, the fire monsters anyway, so you're pretty good to go on that. Nature Arrows Assault deals very heavy nature damage to all enemies, may poison all targets, requires cooldown of no turns, and 0 stamina. It's 75 damage all around. This is the other general that has an AoE ultimate. I completely forgot this was an AoE. I said the Shananar had a AoE, whatchamacallit, and that's not the case. Like the only one that has the AoE. But General Alces has the cake. I would like to say before going on, this is actually the general I always messed up the name on quite a bit of times, or at least the one I messed up the most. I've finally landed calling it the right name of Alces. I used to call him a lot of the time. I called him Alces. I even caused some people to actually start calling him Alces, and it's funny. But also, yeah, I'm also sorry about that, guys. But yeah, how you actually say it is General Alces. That's funny. This is a good ultimate due to the fact he can poison people as he does this. It's not too effective against things like General, no, not General. I mean like Judgment, and just other nature monsters that are immune to poison. So like Judgment and Plymouth, that's the top of the monsters I can think at the moment that are immune to poison, that are very commonly used. Sarah basically does not worry about being poisoned either. She can do an AoE poison resistance move and bam, no more worry about poison. That's kind of hampering with Alces's longevity, damage output. In terms of damage output, I mean, not in terms of like survival. It just bothers. I think it just kind of bothers him that his DOT isn't going off. I think poison is his only DOT. Uh, but he has moves to apply and all that jazz. I will say Alces is really great at damage reduction. He's really great at withering away at the damage output of enemies. I will say that he's pretty present in that sense. Nothing to really talk about in skill groups 1. We're going to go straight to skill groups 2. Bow impact. This is a must move to run on him. Not only is it a single target stun, it's it's a single target move. It's 45 damage, 95 accuracy. It's a very accurate move. Single target moves are usually this kind of accuracy, which is pretty solid. It's on a 2-turn cooldown. Keep that in mind. It's on a 2-turn cooldown, and it's on a 3-turn regen. This is great. So you can pretty much take another turn to do something else because you still have another turn of regen. You can reapply it if you so wish. It's totally fine. It depends on your situation. I will say reapply it if the situation is really, really heavy at the moment and you need to keep that regen on you. I will say use this at the time when you still need to use the regen, when it's most prominent. I mean, like when you still need to use it at all times. If you have it up at all times, that's totally cool too, especially if you're going to a more so tanky sense. You should totally have regen up all the time if you kind of building them like strongly, like tanky. Like if you have 2 life runes and you're not really going for a quick game, you're going for the long game. And Alces can play that game. Alces can totally play that game. That's actually his strong suit, is a long game. He wants to wither down the enemies. He punishes brittlety. He will punish the enemy brittlety if they have not built properly. He will totally take advantage of that. Soothing arrows. Deals low special damage and may apply damage reduction to all enemies. Requires cooldown. A lot of people think this is a terrible move, but it's a really dude. It's a really crippling, especially if you have this in conjunction with dazing arrows. When you actually do get hit with like soothing, get hit by damage reduction. You get hit by a poison move. This guy, he has poison arrows too. Usually people build the poison move on Alces. It gets really annoying. I'm not even kidding. It gets people are gonna get really annoyed if you use poison, poison them first, and then or like you do soothing arrows first, and then dazzling arrow, and you just there's a lot of damage reduction. It's not apparent, but when you have all 3 of these on a single monster, it's very apparent. You do less damage too. That's huge. Keep in mind he does hold the regen move, so if this guy is building tanky, he's gonna be if you don't do enough damage, especially, he's gonna be out there for a while. And a lot of the times it's usually just a nature attacker and an elemental denier. That's usually the case. Save for the situations where people wield Lamu or Sarah, but that's about it. This is everything else though. It's usually a nature attacker like Judgment, Plymouth, or this guy, and probably Apex now, since a lot of people probably have attained Apex. I don't know if it's the best defensive choice, but people will probably still do it if it's their only nature monster. But you can imagine how devastating this is in their tracks if they can't kill Alces. I mean, since they're not wielding double damage, this is huge. Alces has a really great spot in the competitive scene because a lot of his matchups they don't have like when people bring stuff to war, they might not bring the double damage on them. They might not do that. because they might have a nature attacker, like a nature tank, and they might, like for the other element, they have to do a deny, especially if it's like a common or uncommon war. I will say that's where Alces pops out the best, because he's really hard to kill. Like if he's building very decent in terms of tankage, he's going to be really hard to kill. You might not even get a chance to deny him, and he's probably going to do a AOE soothing arrows, or just focus, like shoot that uncommon or common down straight away, and you've lost a coin at this point. He's very proficient in that. So yeah, I've already talked about, I kind of talked about soothing arrows. Poisoned arrow deals heavy nature damage and may poison target, requires cooldown of one single turn, 55 damage, 29 stamina, 95 accuracy. It's a 4-turn poison move. It's nice that it's a 4-turn poison. So essentially you take 40% of the enemy's life at some point. For nature monsters, for like most nature monsters, they're mostly immune to poison. So this is kind of hindering on his part, in the fact that he can't poison other nature monsters a whole lot of the time. He can totally poison things like Glamu and Sarah if she doesn't apply the shield. Assuming you're like on the attack right now, as long as she doesn't apply that immunity to whatchamacallit, the immunity to poison, you're pretty solid. Dazzling arrow deals heavy special damage, may daze target, requires cooldown. I'm gonna actually recommend this move. You should totally build this on whatever Alces you're doing. One, it's his big major special damaging move, so this is used against the enemy nature monster. It's your best bet against dealing any form of huge damage on them. A lot of people build him the extra guy build path. So this works in conjunction with that strength rune. It complements well with the life rune. They do less damage. It helps them out. Again, he's built for the long-term play, and that's what's really awesome about Alces. This works. I will say Dazzling Arrow works really well because a lot of nature monsters are immune to poison, and since they're not immune to daze, they're doing 25% less damage. They're doing 25% less accuracy. I guess the only real drawback is, though, they're not brittle. Like a lot of nature monsters, if like a lot of them just either just do straight up, you usually do the extra guy build because they're kind of taking advantage of all the stats, or like if you're in if you're kind of in that PvP or arena competitive beat 'em up style, maybe they won't build the life rune really. Maybe they just go more so for a damage set. If they're more so doing that, then they might be a little affected by this. But yeah, that's about it in terms of that. I think it's a great way to shove off some damage off Alces. I think that's really clutch for Alces' tank ability, is that target daze. I've had so many annoying fights where I've been dazed and poisoned, and I couldn't do literally any, like the damage was gone. It's kind of annoying for if you have like a common, like if you're running the common level 5, I mean like you're using middle class runes, like level 5 runes. You can imagine how long it actually takes to deal with Alces. If it's just your nature monster that's left, and it's a really long fight. Because even though you can poison Alces, he basically still gets 10% back. You gotta keep in mind that it only takes 10% off, so you have to do another DOT on him to do even any DOT damage in all realistic sense. This also protects him from poison too. This regen will totally protects him from poison. Relief arrows heals all allies by 35%, requires cooldown. Now it says 35. The stat itself actually says 40%. So I'm assuming it's a 40% heal. This is pretty good. He might be one of the few nature monsters that actually wield a 40% heal, or anything beyond 30%. Which is pretty awesome. I will say you put this on if you want to more so lean Alces more so to a healing role, healing role, and you kind of want to do damage mitigation. You're kind of aiming to make the enemy do as less damage as possible. You might actually have like an AoE dazer. Maybe you would do like you'd probably pick up on the restore arrows too. You're kind of more so aiming for a healing role. That's what I'm assuming in terms of a more so supportive sense of you're just trying to reduce damage and also stay out there longer. That's kind of what I'm getting the sense of. You totally still want to run bow impact on in any set. You totally want to run bow impact. And or dazzling arrow. You won't need dazzling arrow if you already have a dazer. I'm saying in the sense if you're using this guy as a supportive. Again, we're still kind of going off on that. If you're just kind of using them for a supportive sense, you're not really there for doing damage. You're more so there of keeping, just staying alive out there. In all honesty, but that's just, again, that's more so of a supportive sense. It's full out supportive. That's not the main build I'd probably recommend you for just a universal sense. Relief arrows is solely for that purpose of being a supportive healer. Natural saliva, you will see this on every Alces, and that's okay because it's a mandatory move. He's the only one. He's probably one of the very few monsters, if not the only one, that is capable of picking out one ally and healing them by 100%. This does not mean revive. It means healing someone by 100%. You're healing somebody for their full life, whatever their max capacity is. They heal for that much. They get all that back. It's instant. It's now. It is pretty phenomenal. Now, the only monster that comes close with this kind of recovery at the moment is Gorin when there's 3 monsters out on the field. Gorin is pretty much the only one close to a full % heal. He wields basically, it's 30% heal, but he heals 30% each person hit. So, if there's 3 people on the field, you heal for 90% health. Gorin is the only one besides, Gorin's the only other one that pretty much heals all their life back, or he's capable of he's capable of healing all life back. Alces for sure can heal anybody back, including himself, so he gets a choice. The only drawback is this is a 6-turn cooldown, so you only get to use it once. Choose them when to use this move wisely. You get pretty much, it's a full healing sniper. Think of it like a healing sniper rifle bullet. You get one. You pretty much get one unless the game lasts for a really long time. Then you can shoot it again. This is why Alces is a phenomenal 1v1er, because essentially if you don't kill him in the span of his regen, if you don't even kill him with his regen while his regen's up, he's poisoned you, he's done damage reduction, you're not doing anything to him at this point. He can stall you straight up for 6 turns, and you're still dying. You could either be still, or you could be at a standstill. You probably can't even kill each other, because the game is so evenly matched. The game could also go as long enough for him to actually get a whole bunch of ults in. Like one time I watched Armor stream, like I was up on Armor stream one time where it was just him and his judgment versus a general Alces, and the Alces would get his ult all the time. So that was really annoying because he was getting hit with 75 damage. Was it very negative? Was it negative damage? Yeah, but it's still it's 75 base damage. That still kind of hurts. If you're getting shot multiple times, it's kind of annoying. But yeah, this is basically the ultimate. It is the ultimate 1v1 supportive tool in terms of for sure winning a 1v1 trade if they're not even doing enough damage to you. If they're not doing 100% of your damage in the span of 6 turns, you are really set. You're just going to win the 1v1 fight. It's just a guaranteed thing. Because they can't support out of it. Unless unless it is a nature monster and, it's like a nature monster. At that fight, it's just a tank fight. They're just swapping back and forth. So things like Judgment, for example. If he can't burst down the Alces, that's a problem. That is literally a huge problem. If they're running if they're both running the average Joe runes, and for some reason Judgment can't burst down the Alces, you are in such a huge problem. You're in such a huge situation. Will Alces do no damage to you? Basically not, because if it's like a life rune Alces, full life, 2 life runes and a speed, odds are he won't burst you down right away. But he's still gonna be there too, because his regen is scaling really well with those 2 life runes. You're in a good spot too, because you're also recovering hit points. It's just a standstill at that point. They're both recovering life at a phenomenal rate. That's the thing with nature monsters, and I think that, in all honesty, I think Alces represents that the most in terms of burst healing, or like that sense of all nature attackers. They do healing. They're tanky. They're meant to be long-term fighters. Alces represents his kind greatly. He represents the nature monsters fairly well. I think that's really awesome of him. So what is the rune set? Not the rune set, the move set I have you run. I have you run Naturula Saliva. I have you run Dazzling Arrow. I have you run Bow Impact. And I have you run Soothing Arrows. Or you might not even have to run, if you want to go for more so damage, but you don't have to pick up Soothing Arrows. You could pick up Poisoned Arrow for that DOT damage. But I'm just saying in a sense of damage reduction. I kind of want to build, kind of a long-term role, really. A lot of like nature monsters are immune to poison resist. I feel like the Soothing Arrows would help out and being able to sponge more damage for your team. It goes well in conjunction with AoE Dazing. Just keep that in mind. It goes well with AoE Dazing. Like damage reduction plus Dazing in general is really annoying to deal with, especially if you're running the average class runes, or the middle class runes. The runes that every like free-to-play player uses. Pretty much the level 5 runes. It runs pretty well. It runs pretty well. Also goes well with things like totems, AoE. It goes well, AoE, damage reduction. They lose 30% of their power, life, and stamina. It goes well with Timerions. I can't remember what the percentage was. I think it was like 40% of power. That works well with that for sure. And all those monsters. Now, who to pair up Alces with? Alces essentially works well with pretty much anybody. He's an anybody kind of guy. He's meant to stay out there for long periods of time, just wither down the enemy. I will say, again, you get the choice between Soothing Arrow or Poisoned Arrow. It's totally up to you. I think a lot of people do Bow Impact, Poisoned Arrow, Dazzling Arrow, and Natural Saliva, just because these two kind of run on a very low cooldown. He kind of picks that up from General Ulia, the low cooldowns, and I think that's pretty cool. Except his only long-term cooldown is the 6-turn cooldown move in that build. This is the build that everybody genuinely runs. It's usually Bow Impact, Dazzling Arrow, and Natural Saliva, and then they totally just go for Poisoned Arrow. I'm saying you have a choice between Soothing Arrows and Poisoned Arrows. It totally depends on your playstyle as a player. Either one's a valid choice. Just keep in mind, Poisoned Arrows has no effect on things like Judgment or Plymouth. It has 0 effect on them. So be sure to knock them out first. Absolutely be sure to knock out that nature monster first. If you're running Poisoned Arrow and they're immune to poison, you have to get rid of the monster that's immune to poison first, or else the light's just gonna last forever. Because you have to deal with the tank first. You have to deal with their tank first. In terms of a 1v1 situation, in terms of in terms of 1v1 situation, you want to kill the thing that's immune to his DOT. You should totally prioritize in that. Runes real quick. Essentially with runes, you can do 2 strengths and a speed, a strength, life, and a speed, 2 lives and a speed, 2 speeds and a strength if you want it. If you're in that PvP arena competitive scene, imagine a strength and 2 speeds, or apparently 2 lives. Again, for partners, anything can usually work with Alces. It's totally up to you on how you want to use them for. Do you want to use him for mainly support? Do you want to build him for any situation? What is your style with Alces? That's totally up to you at this point. I've given you the recommendations, the suggestions. Go ahead and use by your judgment if he's a good monster or not. I think he's a pretty awesome monster. He's pretty much a go-to nature monster. In Team Wars, he's just very supportive overall, and he's a really great long-term fighter. That's all I have to say about General Alces. I hope you love this video. If you have any comments, leave them below. I'm Dib the Awesome. I'll catch you guys later.